Welcome to episode 138 of the Lone Hockey Podcast, where today we're going to be talking about some standouts in last night's matchup between Winnipeg and Pittsburgh. And only two games on yesterday, and Winnipeg ended up taking this one 4-1. They've been rolling to start the season. They've been really consistent thus far, and they've been basically dominant throughout the NHL in terms of the players that are producing on their team, their power play, and just how they've been playing in general. It's been really remarkable to see. And so we'll start with some standouts from Winnipeg. I thought Kyle Connor had a really great game using his speed, using his skill, using his skating, using his crossovers, and his ability to accelerate is really noticeable, but at the same time, his ability to handle the puck at those speeds is also really impressive. And I feel like that's even more impressive to his game and what really makes him stand out as a player. And Connor's a guy, you notice him all the time in terms of his ozone play and how he's able to make passes, how he's able to shoot the puck, how he's able to generate with speed around the crease and be able to sometimes wrap pucks around it at the same time, be able to tuck pucks home in tight spaces. And he's really good at being able to use his hands in small areas. I felt like he showcased that yesterday, and a lot of things were rolling for him yesterday. Speaking of speedy players, Nikolai Heeler's another guy that really stands out in terms of his ability to generate with his speed and his crossovers, and especially his linear crossovers. I feel like through neutral ice and his entry play, he's really noticeable in that sense. He's really good at transitioning the puck with his crossover usage and using that acceleration speed to be able to gain a step past defensemen. And he's really skilled at being able to do that. I feel like Ehlers is a guy. Yesterday, I noticed him as a passer. He was distributing the puck really well. Passes of his were landing on teammate sticks really well. His timing is really good as well. Josh Morrissey, who quarterbacked the first unit power play for Winnipeg yesterday, was really noticeable, and I've liked his game for quite a while now. I feel like there's a completeness to his game, there's a roundedness to his game. He's still one of the more underrated defensemen in the league, I would say, in terms of his two-way ability and also his offensive ability, because his defensive play is so good, his shutdown play is so good, and I notice him in terms of his ability to use angles, but also use his ability to stop and be able to close gaps with ease. And so with him, he's really noticeable in that sense. He's really good in that sense. And in terms of transition and how he transitions the puck offensively, really noticeable and really composed in his ability there. And then Nino Niederreiter, who had the first goal of the game early on, I felt like he had a good game, showcasing his speed, but also showcasing that tenacity around the crease. And Niederreiter is a guy who can bring a little bit of grit when needed, especially playing middle six type role. And he fits his team really well. He fits their speed on the wings really well. And the playmaking, the goal scoring, he's got a bit of dual threat ability within him to be able to generate and control offensive play when necessary. And he looked really good as well. Gabe Vilardi, who I wrote on in my article today, I was really impressed by. And he had one goal and was just noticeable in terms of interior play in the ozone. I felt like with Vilardi, ever since being acquired from LA, and he had good goal scoring numbers in LA too. But I've always noticed his ability to score, and I've also noticed his ability to make plays. He's a dual threat player, but I've noticed his shooting ability really evolve as a pro player even more. I feel like he's finding spots better. I feel like he's getting to interior space better. He's creating lanes for his teammates better, and the movement patterning within his game has allowed him to blossom a little bit more as a scorer. He's on pace for over 30 goals this year, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him hit that number. I feel like last year he showcased, I believe he had 22 last year, so he was close. And then in LA, he's come close too. So the goal scoring is definitely there in Velarde's game. I wouldn't be surprised at some point in the future if he has one 40 goal season. I wouldn't necessarily see him being a 50 goal guy, but 40 goal season is definitely in the possibility at some point in the future. And he's got good term on his contract. He's got a good amount of AAV on his contract. I feel like this is a really underrated player for Winnipeg and has really evolved his game in Winnipeg and really looks like a key player for them and a guy who's a marquee player inside their top six who can also play both center and wing. So you have that versatility there in that sense. And then on Pittsburgh side, Michael Bunting had the lone goal for them in this game. I've liked Bunting's game. I like his tenacity. Obviously, there's connection with Kyle Dubas, and that's why he brought him over because of their time with the Sioux and the Greyhounds. But Bunting individually, I feel like yesterday he was really impressive with that tenacity, the ability to score around the net, the ability to generate around the net. And there wasn't much going for Pittsburgh in this game, but Bunting was one of those guys that stood out consistently and he was standing out in terms of his ability to be an all-around player and be an all-around threat. Geno Malkin, and no surprise here, had an assist in this game. And I always like Malkin's ability to use his size, use his reach, and how he extends possessions there. He does, and he finds creative ways of being able to do this and extend possessions. So with Malkin, he's a guy that stands out in that area. He stands out with his puck protection. He stands out with his ability to drive play. And of course, his ability to drive play offensively is very noticeable as well. And Brian Rust looked really good as well. Brian Rust has that tenacity, the speed, the flair when necessary, similar to Bunting, where he provides a little bit of everything and can provide that in a two-way game, but also in an offensive game. So with Rust, he was noticeable offensively in this game. He was noticeable driving pace, and I felt like he did a really good job all across the board at being able to generate offense in many different ways as well.